In the heart of the Atlantic, there is a rock that swallows souls. 3 men went up, none came down. December 1900, the Flannan Isles. A lighthouse that stood for safety suddenly became a tomb of silence. No sign of a struggle, no blood. Just a warm kitchen and a meal left half-eaten on the table. But the clock stopped at exactly 9. As if time itself was terrified to move forward. 2 coats were missing, but the third remained on its hook. Why run into a freezing storm without protection? Tonight, we uncover the entries of a diary that shouldn't exist. Prepare yourselves. This is the Flannan Isles mystery. December 26, 1900. The relief ship Hesperus cuts through the icy fog of the Atlantic, carrying a heavy silence that no whistle could break. Captain Harvey sounded the horn. Once. Twice. But the island remained a ghost. No flag was raised. No one waited at the landing. Joseph Moore felt a chill that had nothing to do with the wind. He stepped onto the wet stone stairs. 160 steps leading to a dark truth. He pushed open the heavy wooden door. The air inside was still. Too still. The lighthouse wasn't empty. It felt like it was holding its breath. He called out the names. Marshall. Duckett. MacArthur. But the only answer was the echo of his own voice. Moore entered the kitchen. It was warm. A fire had been burning not long ago. But the atmosphere was freezing. Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. On the table, a meal of salted mutton and potatoes sat untouched. Cold. Congealed. A dinner for 3, but not a single soul was there to eat it. Then he saw it. A wooden chair lying on its side, as if someone had leapt up in a moment of pure, blinding terror. What made them run? What was so frightening that they couldn't even finish their last meal? He checked the sleeping quarters. The beds were made. Everything was in its place. Except for the men. They hadn't just left. They had been erased.
Moore turned to the coat pegs by the door. In the brutal winters of the North Atlantic, the oilskin coat is a sailor's only shield against death. But something was missing, something vital and haunting. 2 sets of gear were gone. But the third belonged to James Duckett. He had left his coat behind. He had walked out into a freezing gale unprotected. Why would a veteran of the sea, a man who knew the deadly bite of the Atlantic, run out into the night without his gear? Was the emergency so sudden, or was the danger already inside? He checked the logbook next. The final entries were even more disturbing. Words that didn't match the reality of the sky. The mystery was no longer just about missing men. It was about madness.
The logbook was open on the desk. The ink was dry, but the words felt alive. Thomas Marshall, a man of logic, had written things that made no sense. Entries of a storm that didn't exist. On December 12th, he wrote, "Severe gale, wind as I have never seen before in 20 years. He noted that MacArthur, a hardened veteran, was crying, and Marshall himself was praying. But the records from the mainland were clear. There was no storm. The sea was calm for miles. Were they hearing a storm that wasn't there, or were they praying to something that was already inside the tower? The final entry was the most haunting of all. December 15th. Storm ended. Sea calm. God is over all. After that, the pen was dropped, and the silence began.
Moore moved to the west landing, the island's jagged edge. What he found there defied the laws of nature. Iron railings, thick as a man's arm, were twisted like wet straw. A massive concrete block, weighing over a ton, had been ripped from its moorings and tossed aside. The force required was not of this world. It was as if the ocean itself had reached up with a giant hand. But something didn't fit. If a wave this powerful hit the island, why was the lighthouse untouched? Why were the dinner plates still on the table? The destruction was selective. It was precise. He searched every crevice, every dark cave on the rock. He called their names until his throat was raw. But only the screaming gulls answered. The 3 keepers of Eilean Mor had become ghosts.
The first theory is the darkest of all, human nature. What happens when 3 men are trapped on a tiny rock, surrounded by nothing but the howling wind and the endless black sea? Did the isolation snap something inside Donald MacArthur? He was a man with a reputation for a quick temper. Did a simple argument over a meal turn into a violent struggle in the dark? The overturned chair, the missing coats. Imagine a chase up the spiral stairs, a desperate fight on the cliff edge. One man kills the other two, and then realizes he can never leave this rock. Did he jump into the abyss to join them? Or is there a fourth man still hiding in the shadows of the lighthouse? The stones won't tell, and the dead, they keep their secrets.
But science offers a different kind of nightmare, the rogue wave. A wall of black water 100 feet high, born from the chaotic rhythm of the deep Atlantic. Imagine the three men at the West Landing, fighting to secure a supply crate. They didn't see it coming. In the darkness, the ocean doesn't warn you. It just takes. A wave so powerful it snapped iron like toothpicks and swept them into the frozen abyss in a heartbeat. This explains the missing coats. They didn't have time to run. They didn't even have time to scream. But if a wave took them, why was the lighthouse still shining? Why was the dinner still on the table? The ocean is a messy killer, but this felt like a kidnapping.
But locals on the nearby islands whisper a different name. They talk of the Seven Hunters, ancient spirits that protect the rock. Spirits that don't take kindly to the light of man. Legend says that on certain nights the ocean opens up, not to drown men, but to take them. Some believe the keepers stepped into a ghost ship or were snatched by something that lives beneath the waves. Think about the dinner table again, the warmth in the room. If they were taken by spirits, it would explain why time seemed to stop. One moment they were eating, the next they belonged to the island. Is it madness, or is it the only truth left when logic fails? The Flannan Isles are not just a place, they are a gateway, and the three keepers found the key. The official report closed the case as an accidental drowning, but the families of the men never bought it. There were rumors of strange lights seen from the mainland that night. Was it a secret military experiment? A cover-up that goes all the way to the top? Why was the investigation silenced so quickly? Some truths are too dangerous for the public. Joseph Moore, the man who found the empty tower, refused to speak about that night for years. What did he really see in those shadows that he was too afraid to write down? Sometimes the truth is so terrifying that a lie is the only way to keep the world sane. They didn't just drown. They were taken, and the ocean was paid to stay silent.
Years passed, and new keepers were sent to the Flannan Isles. But they weren't alone. They reported hearing three voices whispering their names in the freezing wind. They found the logbook open to pages that had been torn out by invisible hands. The island had tasted human souls, and it was still hungry. It was waiting for more. Today, the lighthouse is automated. No humans live there anymore. But sailors still swear they see three shadows standing on the gallery, watching the ships pass by. Waiting, watching, hoping for someone to step onto those 160 stone steps and join them in the eternal silence of Eilean Mor. 3 men went onto a rock, and they never came back. We may never know the truth. But every time you look at the ocean, remember, it is an ancient, hungry god. It never keeps a secret forever. It only waits for the right moment to tell it. If you felt the chill of the Flannan Isles tonight, then you are now part of the mystery. Hit the like button and subscribe if you dare to face the darkness with us. Tell us in the comments, what do you think happened to the 3 keepers? But be careful, some mysteries are better left in the dark. Sleep well, if you can.